Welcome back once again to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, LitecoinLeader. Today we're talking about an interesting topic called Web3. Now, you've probably heard this buzzword, much like you've heard other buzzwords like metaverse, but that's for another video. Today we're going to talk about Web3, what it is, why it is, and what's the future likely hold for it. So let's dive right into it and start talking about, first off, what is Web3? Well, first off, before I begin, I want to thank Matt for asking this question. Matt is one of the people that has been longtime listener, follower, subscriber, and so on. Posed this question in one of my AMAs, so thank you for the question. That's some of my best content comes from people who give me that kind of feedback. So if you have ideas or want questions that you want me to answer in a video, please let me know. That's what the comments are for, and you can reach out to me on LitecoinLeader.com. Or on my Patreon, of course. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me is on patreon.com/LitecoinLeader. And you can join for as little as $5 a month. But let's get to Web3, okay? Web3, what is it? First off, it's the third generation of the internet, but this is kind of a catch-all phrase. It's not well defined yet. They're still working it out. So it's kind of a big phrase, again, kind of like the metaverse, that they're still working out the details. So first off, let's talk about generation 1 of the internet, generation 2, and now Web 3.0. Web 1 basically started in the early days. They call it 1990, according to Ethereum's page. They say that Web 1.0 started from 1990 and concluded around 2004. And these were websites where you could only read the information. You couldn't interact with it. For those of you who've ever set up a computer or folder privileges, or you've used a Google document where it's read only, they can't edit it. It's viewer only. That's a read document, or similar to Web 1.0, which is the initial days of the web. So in the early days of like Netscape or, MySpace, well, before MySpace even. So you're looking at Netscape, or you're looking at, early days like Yahoo and New York Times and AOL. These are a lot of sites where you just basically read information, but you couldn't interact with it. You could click on maybe a link or two, but you're not putting information into it. So that's Web 1.0. Now in the early 2000s, around 2004, came Web 2.0, which became read and write. Web 2.0 is read and write privileges, kind of like, again, being able to edit a document on Google Docs, or having a folder where you can interact with the contents, again, on the computer privileges. So that's similar to, say, Google or Amazon or Twitter, or those kinds of sites where you can post things and share them to peer-to-peer, share with the platform or social media. Started Web 2.0. Amazon, like wish lists, or just posting things on Facebook. That's probably one of the biggest examples. But the problem with Web 2.0 is that you did not own the content that you provided to the site. Even though you could write to it, you did not own the content, and that was part of the problem. That led to Web 3.0, which is read, write, own, which is a little bit different than the computer folder privileges, but it's kind of get back to your Google documents, where you basically, again, Google still owns your content, but imagine that now you're moving from the next generation, from read and write to read, write, own, where you own your data, you own your content, you have control over it. This could be anything from something you write, a post, a tweet, anything you post on social media, but you own those information, and that goes well beyond. It can go into your personal information, your medical records, your diplomas, your resume, all that stuff. You own your data, and you can decide who you share it with, how much you share it with, for how long, and you control that. And that's where a lot of the blockchain cryptocurrency stuff gets involved, where you have it. It's going to run the blockchain. Blockchain technology is very important. So I'm going to dive into some more of the aspects in just a moment, but first let's hear a little bit from my sponsor. Do you understand the difference between one of these and one of these? It's not the dollar value or the purchasing power. It's that this is a currency, and this is actually money, because this holds value while this fluctuates and loses it due to inflation. If you want to know more about economics and how the history of money influences the modern economics today and how it's all changing, join us in Dallas, Texas on October 8th at EconomicPreppers, where myself, Patrick, and Dylan are going to be teaching about the history of money, what's coming in gold, silver, real estate, cryptocurrency, and how you can be prepared and not scared for what's to come in the coming months and years as we move towards a different economy that none of us have ever been alive to see, but it's happened a lot in the past. So join us in Dallas, Texas. Tickets are only $197. The rooms are only $129 a night, and there's shuttles to and from the airport. So I can't wait to see you there. Go to EconomicPreppers.com. Tickets are only available for a limited time at $197. Hope to see you there soon. Okay, so Web 3.0, going more into the details. And I love that ad, by the way. But anyway, we're moving on. And you're going to hear a lot more of that kind of stuff, that kind of event. But first, we're going to talk about Web 3.0. So Web 3.0, read, write, own. Now you own your data. This is where it's very important. Like if you don't want to put your medical records out there and not own it. You don't want to put your own intellectual property, your own information, your own content, anything you are like, even like social security numbers, phone numbers, anything you just like kind of you own. You want to own that, and you want to decide like who gets to see it, who doesn't get to see it, control those different aspects of I have no idea which is buzzed, but we'll move on. There's so many phones. Anyway, so Web 3.0, you own your data. So this is very important. And these are going to run on platforms like Ethereum, Polkadot, Cosmos, Solana, Matic, Theta, Zilliqa, you name a platform that's a layer one or that has their own blockchain. And these are the kind of decentralized platforms that implement their own blockchain technology that are going to be able to implement this sort of thing. Now, there's a lot of different viewpoints on who's going to win. I mean, I know Divi just added to their roadmap of Web 3.0, but everybody's defining it a little bit differently because there's not really a universal standard yet. It's just the concept is there. You want to own your data. It makes perfect sense. I don't want to send my medical records and post it on Google or Facebook. I don't think anyone should. But if you have them and you're able to share them through your doctor for the next day or two and then rescind them and pull them back, or if someone asks you, like if say you're applying to a job and you want to prove who you graduated from a certain university at a certain time, do you really want to let that employer just wait for them to try and verify everything, or just say here's all the information, it's already been verified on the blockchain, and then here it is, and I'm going to pull it back and it's my property. So it's owning your own details, owning your information. But it's kind, so another analogy, it's kind of like the early days of the car, where you've got lots of different people or lots of different groups or blockchains or developers trying to develop an approach to implementation. Kind of like the early days of the car, there were 100 different car manufacturers. They're all like, hey, we want to make a car, 4 wheels, drive, go forward, backward, park it. That kind of runs on gas for the most part. There were some electric cars back then too, in the early days. But for the most part, you had the concept. It's 4 wheels, you drive it, and it's certain dimensions, and that's how you get from place to place. That was the concept of the motor vehicle. Now we have a concept of Web 3. You want to own your data. You want to decide who you share it with, and decide if you want to pull it back, how much you share, and you own that kind of, because it's you. It's a reflection of you, and it's your thoughts, your medical history, your banking information, all that kind of financial, medical, all that personal stuff, where you graduated with, where you lived, your addresses, your phone numbers, that kind of stuff. It's great to have it on a blockchain. It's great to have it verifiable, but do you want it on a public blockchain? Do you want it you want to have it involved in an NFT? Do you want to have it in an app? How is it going to be implemented? That's what they're working at now, because Web 3.0, it's coming, but it's being developed as we speak. So as a concept, it exists, but the implementation is still being worked out. There's no standards yet. So we're still figuring out what Web 3.0 means for practicality. We understand as a concept what it is, but the implementation still being worked out. We don't know if Divi's going to get it right, if Theta is going to get it right, Matic, Zil, Cosmos, name a blockchain, Solana, if they get it right, and again, the term actually, the term Web 3.0 actually comes from Gavin Wood, who was one of the founders of Ethereum and now runs the Polkadot project. So there's 2 other projects that are very much in the running for standardization for Web 3.0. So I hope that answers the question of Web 3.0. I would love to hear your feedback and your comments on my explanation. Anything else you've heard, that's what the comments are for. Like and subscribe, share the video. I'd love to hear your feedback. But with all that said, I'm going to close the drawer in the bureau, say follow leader one more time, and I hope to see you in Dallas, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye.